Hello and welcome to our Saturdays with Tara Hangout on Air. I'm Mary Beth at the Law of Attraction Club, and we're on the web at the loaclub.com. On these Hangouts, we collaborate with our friends Tara. This Hangout is the summary of our theme. Powerful, free letting go process by going to the loaclub.com. So now we're going to welcome Robin, who will be bringing through Tara. So over to you guys.
Welcome to our discussion. We're going to start, as we often do, by talking about the nature of so-called reality, because we want to have you be in no doubt whatsoever about the truth of who you are and the absolute power the law of attraction grants you to bring anything you want into your experience, anything at all. We're going to use time as an example of something you're so immersed in that you perceive it as an absolute when it's not. Then we're going to talk about what some call co-creation as a way of being very clear about the extent to which you and you alone create your world. Then we're going to finish with a long affirmation rampage. So be ready to think along with us as we get into that. Not so long ago, in your time-oriented world, one of you asked us to comment on a discovery by some scientists in Queensland, Australia, where it seems that their experiments at the quantum level of matter had demonstrated that a future event could affect a past event. And so time was actually behaving as Einstein's equations had suggested that it would, and not always marching on in one direction in a straight line. So the question is, are they right? In one sense, yes. But if you're asking from your perspective about things that affect you in your world, the more accurate answer is, we can't tell you. You will have to tell us, and here's why. There are only two things about you that you haven't created and that you cannot change. Firstly, you're an individuated but always connected extension of the timeless collective consciousness of all that is. And secondly, it's your individual and unique belief choices that create everything about you and the worlds you inhabit. So the simple truth is that there's nothing in your world that you haven't created by thought. If you haven't thought of it, it doesn't exist. And everything that is in your world lies within the boundaries you have chosen. The certainties, the probabilities, the possibilities, and the improbabilities. So let's use this one's world as an example. To the extent that you've made similar belief choices, yours will be a similar world. He knows, of course, that any of this can be changed. But here are some of the things he's comfortable leaving as is for now. Time, space, and gravity are certainties. Time marches on. The sun rises every day in the east. More particularly, there are scientists in his world that are exploring quantum effects, which means they are working on the fringes of physical science and finding some things that even challenge the concept that physical matter actually exists. He's aware that they've demonstrated that the consciousness of the observer affects the results of the experiment. He doesn't know what they'll come up with next, but is not surprised that the concept of linear time is being challenged. From the perspective of the scientists, he or she is creating their world just as you are. They have beliefs and expectations. They think they are finding out more about what is, but they are actually doing is just filling in some of the details in their world and in the worlds of those whose beliefs are in line with theirs, which in this case includes this one's world and perhaps your world also. As always, whatever they choose to believe will be true in their version of so-called reality. If they have doubts, they may be challenged, and then their results will either be confirmed or repudiated. To the extent that they are believed, others will be able to reproduce their results, and then these will become generally accepted theories. But in your world, from your perspective, it is your choices that will rule the day. In other words, those scientists will be right or wrong depending on what you choose to believe. It's interesting that this one came to one of his key breakthroughs on law of attraction when he studied a little quantum physics and discovered that the majority scientific opinion was that these phenomena could best be explained by the existence of multiple versions of reality. When you go left at the fork, there's an equally valid version of you that goes right. When he arrived at that profound but simple explanation of how things work, our response to him was, bingo. There's not one world that exists, but your world in many versions. So now let's come to the concept of co-creation. In one world, everything, of course, would be, to some extent, a co-creation. Because if you're all sharing the same world, then you could not escape the results of the creative desires of everybody else on the planet. But what's actually going on is that you, by your belief choices about everything, create your world unique to you. And into your world, by law of attraction, you will attract the versions of things and other people, other conscious entities, that are an exact match to your tapestry of expectations. So they intersect with you in your movie, even as you, in different versions, appear in theirs. It's a magnificent movie, and it looks real, but it's a virtual reality. There's a sense in which you are sort of co-creating, because all of those intersections are those people matching you and you matching them. But the word co-creating sort of implies that you're in one world, and therefore creating some particular outcome means you need to recruit others to your way of thinking. Some of you organise marches for this cause or that cause, or call for worldwide days of prayer. Not that those things might not be fun to do, but numbers do not equate to creative power. That's simply not how it works. When you, as an individual, make a decision and line up with it at all levels within you, there's no power in heaven or on earth that can prevent that desired outcome from manifesting. And there are those fateful words again. Make a decision and line up with it. It sounds so simple because it really is so simple. However, breaking some long practiced habits of thought takes commitment to change and focus to bring about that change. What we're talking about here is changing belief patterns that you've practiced into what we'll loosely call your subconscious. And now you need to develop some new autopilot subconscious beliefs, because it's down at that level that almost all of your moment-by-moment decisions are made. Mastery comes when that subconscious of yours is no longer excluding you from a whole stack of exciting and limitless possibilities. We're talking about curing you of what is itis, getting you to the place where you just plain know who you are and building within you an ongoing and ever-present awareness of that. And this entire preamble we've just done about time and co-creation was designed to that end. You see, there really is no time, and there really is no co-creation, and there really is no sun rising in the east. What you're used to seeing as reality is just your story. It's the script you've written for your movie. You wrote it, and you can change it. So now we come to the really substantive part of our discussion. Taking this understanding and converting it into a force for change. It starts with commitment. Something like, over the next 30 days, I commit to creating something new within me. Because the world I live in, everything that surrounds me, is a reflection of what lies within. It takes focus. Things like, today and from this day forward, I'm going to live life inside the context of two questions. How do I feel? And what do I want now? How do I feel? And what do I want now? How do I feel now? And what do I want now? And it takes repetition. How many gazillion times every day do you reaffirm the realness of what is just your story? Oh, now I can't get to the store until 5 o'clock and it's going to be a zoo. Or, I've just read a bad review on the gizmo I ordered and now I'm worried that it won't work. Or, I've lost my car keys and I've no idea where they could be. And just by the way, you create your world moment by moment, frame by frame. So those car keys will be where you now create them to be. You've reaffirmed so-called reality to the point where it crowds out and suppresses that inherent knowing you have of the truth. You've done it to the point where your so-called reality is so seemingly self-evident that you know it's utterly beyond question. So find affirmations like those we just spoke and repeat them and repeat them. And remember this, affirmations are simply conversations initiated by your conscious mind to train your subconscious into telling a new story. The words don't matter. It's the thoughts that they inspire that matters. What you choose to believe becomes your reality. What you choose to believe becomes. What you believe becomes. So we're going to do a little repetition right now. Ask yourself, how do I feel? And whenever you do that, recognize that it doesn't matter what the truthful answer is. Just the commitment to get into this routine makes a difference. Let's say on a particular day, the answer on a 0 to 10 scale is bad, something less than a 5. it doesn't matter. You can then move to the next question. What do I want now? And then you can get into a little of the would be, will be, is process. What would it be like if? Then as you would be for a while, carry that thought back to, how do I feel? And notice how you can ratchet up those feelings of yours. And if in a particular moment the answer is good or very good, somewhere in the 5 to 10 range, you can carry that feeling like a blanket into the what do I want now question, and back and forth. As we say over and over, nothing is more important than how you feel. Because when you feel good, you're aligned with your inner guidance. You've faced yourself squarely in the right direction, and you're heading directly on the shortest possible path straight toward that which you want. Being right is irrelevant. Feeling good is everything. And when you feel good, acknowledge it. Appreciate everything around you, but mostly appreciate yourself. Are you beginning to see how it all works? Are you beginning to get a sense of how important that powerful subconscious of yours is? What if that automatic thought about the gizmo with the bad review was not regret and worry, but phooey to the review, that's an old story. Here's what I'm going to create, followed by a good stiff dose of would be, will be, is. Can you see how your day will be different and your life will be different when you have these habits ingrained? We're inviting you to step more and more into the role of the creator you came here to be. Shortly here, we're going to take you through sort of an affirmation, sort of a guided awareness. Remember what we're doing here. Affirmations are conversations initiated by your conscious mind to train your subconscious into telling a new story. In this conversation you're about to have with yourself, there will be the words, everything is as I choose it to be. Just be aware that this does not mean everything is as I want it to be. If that were true, you would not be here, because you came here for the fun of creating new things. You choose by what you expect, wanted or unwanted, good gizmos or bad gizmos. Your experiences exist in the realm of thought. Your thoughts are real, even as so-called reality is not. Experience provides contrast. Contrast stimulates desire, and desire is what propels you forward. Everything is as I choose it to be is simply an acknowledgement that you are the one in charge, that you are the one making the choices. You're acknowledging a fundamental fact of life, that the law of attraction is the organizing principle of everything that exists, and that it's the source of the inherent and absolute power that you have. Okay, so here we go. Follow along with this. As I speak these words to myself, I allow myself right now to know the truth of them. As I practice acknowledging who I am, I'm accepting it at all levels within me. I treat myself with enormous generosity of spirit. And even as my mind wanders through many different rooms, I return always to this core intention, to know myself as I truly am. Each moment of conscious awareness I spend acknowledging the truth of who I am enrolls my subconscious self as a powerful partner in this new game we are playing together. I'm a consciousness that is part of the collective consciousness of Source. Source is a river, and I am a tributary that feeds into and flows from that river. I'm part of the endless stream that is God. This is the ultimate truth of who I am. This is the only thing that's fundamentally true about me in all realms across a timeless universe. This is the only thing that I am and can ever be, and yet it is everything. With these words, I experience my connection and my oneness with infinity. I'm allowing myself right now to be aware of who I am. Each day and each day and each day, I'm raising the bar because I expect more from this game of life on earth. I've committed to myself to move beyond the status quo, to engage more creatively and more joyfully in this adventure I've stepped into. I'm wanting more and more to feel good, because that's how it feels when I drop those old limiting beliefs of mine. I'm moving beyond old habits and into excitement, and then into power, and then into ecstasy. I'm living today and from this day forward within the question, how do I feel? And what do I want now? These questions are becoming part of our ongoing and ever-present awareness. I'm learning to be generous and loving to myself. I'm learning to dance with the gods as the equal of all beings, because that's what I am. I'm learning to be me. I'm beginning to know at all levels within me what is truly real. If I step into a hole, I see more and more clearly the steps that lead up and out and forward. And I shine my light, and I take those steps into peace and fun and freedom and adventure. I exist as a thought. What I choose to think creates me and my worlds. Everything is as I choose it to be. My desires and intentions and my chosen beliefs and expectations shape the individuation that is me. And the context that surrounds me is a mirror of those beliefs and expectations. I exist as a thought, and everything that exists around me exists as a thought. It is my thoughts that create the physical me in this physical world, with all of its actions and sequences and beginnings and ends and time that marches on. And so even as I acknowledge that I am an action-oriented being in an action-oriented world, I also acknowledge that what shapes my existence is simply my thoughts. Every time I choose a different thought, it makes a difference. Each small choice, each deliberately different thought creates movement in the fabric of my existence. And as I be here and now in this pace of playing with new thoughts, I can feel within me that I'm now different than I was just a moment ago. Each new thought makes a huge difference. This new thought right now has made a difference. I feel within me the power of that new thought. I see stretching before me a world that has shifted, and I can feel myself emerging into that new version of me and my world. Good. And so once again, are you right now beginning to see a new world of possibilities for you? If you're ready to commit, we're ready to hold your hand and remind you of your commitment. We're ready to dance into a brave new world. And we're here right now to answer any questions you might have.
This hangout was the summary of our theme for the week. We do 3 live calls a week with Q&A for our members on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can become a member by going to the loaclub.com/join. Our longer discussion with Q&A continues now on our member conference line. So back over to Robin and Tara.